Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me here. My name's Sule. I'm the residency director for emergency medicine, and I'm also the associate director for global health here at New Jersey Medical School as well. What I want to spend the next few minutes talking to you about is just kind of a little bit of my pathway, but really talking about global health and the impact we can have. As some of the other speakers have mentioned, the Asian American and Pacific Islander community is very diverse. It's not one unified group of people. Health problems are different, how you address them are different, and geographically, obviously, Asia is extremely vast. And so how global health fits into this is an important part of it as well. My story is actually one that I was born and raised in Bombay, what we refer to still as Bombay, but others refer to now as Mumbai, in Bombay, India, and I lived there till I was about 14 years old. After that, moved out to the Middle East to a small country called Qatar, which now people know about a lot more. Back when I was in high school, it was this little sleepy little hamlet almost, and with one or two high-rise buildings perhaps. A very different look now as well. And I went to a British school there, did my A-levels, and like every good Indian kid, decided to follow in my father's footsteps and decided to pursue a career in engineering. Getting to Northwestern in Chicago, which is where I trained, I did my undergrad education. Soon, within a year or so, it became clear to me that that was not quite the pathway that I wanted to follow. And it's one of those things where, by pure chance, you make friends that you do, you have roommates that you do, and I became more and more exposed to the field of medicine, and that's what brought me to medical school at University of Illinois in Chicago. Continuing my story of kind of wandering around until you find yourself. I also did political science in undergrad as well, remains a passion of mine. But continuing the wandering story then got me to residency, which was emergency medicine, because over the course of all of my years, a lot of different things appealed to me. And finally, that's where I settled. So I trained at Cook County Hospital in Chicago. And one of the reasons that I trained there, besides the geography and the other parts of it that were valuable to me then, was also in front of it there's a plaque of Louis Pasteur, and in it, there's a statue of him, and in that there's at the bottom of that, there's a plaque that talks about how you take care of everyone who comes to your doors in an institution. And to me, that was something that was especially valuable coming to where I was in emergency medicine, training at a public hospital as well. And that remains kind of my driving force throughout it. Now, after residency, I moved to Washington, D.C. for a little bit, thinking health policy, other things I'd get involved. By chance, of family events, other stuff, moved to Miami for a couple of years, but then eventually pursued my global health interests. So I moved to Azerbaijan in the former Soviet Union for about a year and a half and worked with a non-governmental organization there as a country director or other things, doing non-clinical, more kind of healthcare policy work. And that was really satisfying for me in the sense of really understanding what it is, how you fit in, and from a clinical standpoint and from a non-clinical standpoint as well. But it also made me realize the importance of being in an academic institution and the need to be around people who are like-minded, who can think about those topics in the same way as well. That brought me back to Philadelphia, where I was at Jefferson for about 6 years. And then eventually moved out here, and mostly moved out here because my wife's work. She works as an attorney doing freedom of speech work for Thomson Reuters, a news agency, but New York City is obviously the haven for that, so this is where we came to. And one of the appeals as I looked through things here was really what I was looking for was a place that I could work which focused on health equity, on social determinants of health, a commitment to serve, where I'd be around those like-minded people. I knew that from my own training at Cook County that a public hospital is what I wanted. And what Newark offered, what this school offered, was something very unique, even compared to a lot of the other public hospitals in the region as well. And that's really what brought me here. And here I've been lucky enough to have support from within the institution, within NJMS itself, and Rutgers-wide as well in many ways, to further my career in global health. And when you think about global health, people think of it as just all things international, but really, and I don't expect you to read that definition in detail, but really that's the accepted definition of global health. And what it talks about is being a transnational effort, not an international effort, one that includes all countries, that includes your backyard as well, and that talks about collaboration, population-based prevention, individual-level clinical care. It's a very broad field. And I think one of the things that we have tried doing here at NJMS and at Rutgers is really dispelling the myth of global health being all things international only. So my work now, what it involves is within the residency program within our department, we do a lot with social determinants of health. We have a mandatory rotation. Our residents go out into the community, spend time with community health workers, go into public housing projects. It's very easy for us in the emergency department to sit there and criticize someone who comes in at 3 in the morning with 2 children saying, how could you bring your kids in at 2 in the morning? Well, it turns out when you have 2 jobs back to back that both parents are working, that's the only time you can take your kid somewhere. Or coming in high on heroin, drunk on alcohol, and being very judgmental is very easy, but it's harder to sit there and understand what the socioeconomic conditions someone goes through are. And so those are ways that this institution has really helped me pursue those passions as well. From a global health standpoint, we've been very lucky. So we have now an Office of Global Health, which is within the Office of the Vice Dean and within the Office of Diversity and Community Engagement. And with my colleague, Dr. Ziad Sifri, who's one of the trauma surgeons, we have been very successful in introducing a lot of elements of global health here. And really our goal is not, yes, I'm an Asian American, Pacific Islander, but that is not the only focus that we have as well. Our focus is really to give everyone the opportunity to make an impact on the world around them. So we have medical students that we take into our Global Health Distinction Program. They've done projects throughout the world, actually, from everything from the Amazon Delta to Bangalore, India, to Sierra Leone they've done work in. We have a 3rd-year Global Health elective. We have a 4th-year Global Health International Medicine elective as well. So really our goal is to support the students in pursuing what their interests are in the field of global health. And then outside of that, what we do is really support the faculty as well. And we've been lucky with that because in the last couple of years, Rutgers as a whole has opened up its Global Health Institute with significant support through the Office of the Chancellor for RBHS as well. And Rick Marlink is the director of it, and really we've been engaged with them because their support has been tremendous. What they're trying to do is really look and see how faculty can be supported, along with students, no doubt. But for students to be supported, you need to have mentors as well, and those mentors are the faculty. And as you can see from this map that they post on their site as well, Rutgers now truly has a global presence. You have projects that are ongoing in several parts of the world throughout the Asia-Pacific rim as well, Africa, Central Latin America as well. So that is really the future of what our institution, I think, continues to be. Yes, it is very much local as well. So an example I'll give you is one of our rising 4th-year students who's doing the Global Health Distinction Program began a project related to the Amazon in Brazil. And the way that project is translated is that every year students go out there, but they're also involved with the Ironbound initiative here. So taking the lessons that they're learning there, bringing them back here and applying them is a big part of what we do as well. And really that correlation is what I think drives us. From the school standpoint, from a student standpoint especially, I think there is tremendous support for that diversity there. I think as Dr. Lee mentioned as well, it is in supporting not one minority or one socioeconomic group. It's really the diversity and finding the strength in that diversity is what it really is about. And I think this event has been a great example of that as well, as you've heard from several people as well. So thank you for having me here. I appreciate it very much.